we are wrapping up Unit 3 with solving two-step equations, which is really the next step, the culmination of 16 and 17. 16 and 17 were both one-step equations, 16 with addition and subtraction, 17 with multiplication and division. 18 is just putting those two things together, essentially. Okay, and really two-step equations are going to become your comfort zone. As we progress through pre-algebra, you're going to see that equations, they can look really, really different. Some can have parentheses, some can have terms to combine, some have variables on both sides. Your goal should always be get to this two-step equation, because once you do, the process is always very, very similar. Okay, so looking at this here, 5n plus 7 equals 32. What operations are in the equation? What's being done on that left side, that side with n? Yeah.
Multiplication.
You're multiplying, right? And what else?
Dividing, subtracting.
No.
Adding.
You're adding, okay? 5 times n plus 7. The reason why it's a two-step equation is because there are two operations. You have to undo each of them, right? And the opposite of addition, as we learned in PO16 and with PERMDAS, is subtraction. And the opposite of multiplication, as we learned in PO17 and in PERMDAS, is division. Right? So, would you like to take a seat in the back row or stop talking? Stop talking. Thank you. So, when you look at that two-step equation, you're looking what operations are in the equation, and just like 16 and 17, you undo them to get n by itself. That's basically it. Right? So, let's just do it. Let's not chit chat. Right? 5n plus 7 equals 32. What's our first step going to be here? Maybe you remember back to this from last year. Yeah.
I'm guessing. You do. Wait. Never mind.
Okay. I guess the biggest question here is, what do you start with? Do you start with the 5 or do you start with the 7?
Start at 32.
What?
That's not one of the options.
What?
Do you undo 5 times n first, or do you undo the plus 7 first?
Undo 5.
Other way around. You undo the plus 7 first. And here's the reason why, right? Because you think about order of operations, you think multiplication comes before addition, right? In PERMDAS. But remember what we're doing. We're undoing the equation. We're doing opposite operations, which means you're essentially going to solve this by working through PERMDAS backwards. Right? Okay. Normally we would add the 7 last. Here we are going to undo that and subtract 7 first. And when we subtract 7 from positive 7, what does that equal? 7 minus 7. 0. What's left on the left side?
25. What?
Where'd you get? I was guessing.
What's left on the left side when we subtract 7?
0.
Just 5 times n. And what is our new total on the right side? 32 minus 7.
What?
But we don't know
what n is.
Not yet, but we're working towards it. And on the right side, 32 minus 7 equals 25. Okay? This is the same thing that we did in PO16, right? If we had a positive 7, we subtracted 7 from both sides. And in PO16, n was then by itself and you were done because it was a one-step equation. Here, we have a second step. What is the second step here to get n by itself, Aiden?
I just have a question.
Is it about my outfit or the men?
No, just about like math.
Go ahead.
Why do you call it PERMDAS when others supposed to just call it PEMDAS?
Because PERMDAS is the way.
Why
is
do you
correct.
count that?
The reason why, if you really want to know, the reason why is because when you solve an equation using opposite operations, right, which is what we're doing right now, we know that addition and subtraction are opposites because of PERMDAS, right? We know that multiplication and division are opposites because of PERMDAS. We know that when we see adding 7, to undo that, we subtract 7. If you just go with PEMDAS, you still have the addition and subtraction. You still have the multiplication and division. But what's the opposite of an exponent? PEMDAS doesn't tell you that, right? PERMDAS does. When we eventually get to exponents and radicals in an equation, you're going to know what the opposite of an exponent is because of PERMDAS. The opposite of an exponent is a radical, okay? So that is why I go with PERMDAS, to ultimately help you understand opposite operations and how to solve them. Jillian,
Yeah, King, I've never heard it.
we need to get through this first. We are still only halfway through solving this because we have not yet solved for n. We've subtracted 7. We've undone the addition. James?
Are we doing this? Are we doing still doing the 2 pages?
Don't ask him that.
We shall see. Let's get through. We're not even through the first question yet. Okay.
As much time as possible.
What is our second step here to ultimately get n by itself? Liv.
Divide 25 by 5.
And why do you divide by 5?
Because you're multiplying.
Because it's the opposite of multiplying by 5, right? Once we get rid of that constant, once we get rid of that 7, it becomes 5n equals 25. Divide both sides by 5, and n is equal to 5.
So this is like a 3-step.
It's 2. Our first step was subtracting 7. Our second step was dividing by 5.
Why do you need to get to the n equals 25? If you already know it.
What do you mean?
I already knew that 5 times 5 plus 7 is 32. So can I just write down n equals 5?
No.
You need to show the word.
Not on a test.
Not on a test though. She is correct. On the homework, you need to show the word. Because there are going to be some here that you don't know. Right? There are going to be some here that you look at and you're going to need to know what process to use to get n by itself.
So what number do I subtract 7 from?
You subtract 7 from the positive 7, so that's what you want to move. That's what you want to get rid of, right? And then you subtract 7 from the other side as well, and 32 minus 7 equals 25. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. We subtracted 7 to cancel that positive 7 out, so we can start to work our way down to just n, right? And then since we subtracted 7 on the left side, to keep that equation balanced, we also have to subtract 7 on the right side. And 32 minus 7 is how we got the 25. Just like when we divided by 5 here to ultimately get n by itself, we had to divide by 5 on the right side also to keep that equation balanced. Okay? Let's look at the next one. 2n plus 17 equals 25. Very similar setup here. What is our first step going to be? Aiden.
Subtract 17.
Subtract 17. Start with the addition and subtraction. Start with that constant is what that number is called. Doesn't have a variable. And we're going to be subtracting because that's the opposite of adding. Right?
Great job.
Thank you. 17 minus 17 equals 0. They cancel out. That's what we want. We're left with 2n by itself. And on the right side, 25 minus 17 gives us 8.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what this tells us is that 2 n's equal 8. And then when we add 17 to that 8, we get a final answer of 25, right? We're undoing the equation. What's our second step? Nolan. Divide by
2.
divide by 2. And 8 divided by 2, n is equal to 4. Okay?
Yes.
Just like 16 and 17, you can check this. If you plug 4 back into the equation, does 2 times 4 plus 17 equal 25? And the answer is, of course, yes.
I know
Oh, yeah.
we're doing it on both sides, like minus 17.
Mhm.
Where do we put the 0? Like, we're not putting that one anywhere.
Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to clean
It's a whoopsie do.
everything.
That's what you do.
That's a whoopsie do.
That's
Hold on. I want to get her question. Okay, so what about the 0?
Like,
We got that.
negative 17 minus 17. That's what we're doing here.
We're doing positive 17 minus 17.
Yeah, okay. And then it's 0.
Right.
Where do we put that?
So we don't need to write it. If we did write it in there, this step here would be 2n plus 0 equals 8. But adding a 0 to something doesn't change the value, right? So we might as well just put 2n. Because 2n plus 0 is the same as just 2n. Okay. Same reason why in this step here, 2 divided by 2 equals 1. we don't write the 1 because having 1n is the same as just having n. Okay? The next one.
No, whoopsie-doo song.
And you have to sing it like the second.
Yeah.
I
I
don't think I have the gusto that I had yesterday.
No,
I have
really.
been
The
beaten
gusto for
down
that outfit.
since the moment I stepped foot in the building today. Beaten down
Okay.
from
First problem.
the
Look in
eighth
the
graders
mirror
are
before you
discussing what percentage of hair I have on my head.
That
That was the discussion this morning, and then the mug that I got as a gift, I poured my V8 into it. Mr. Rohr
Ew.
questioned whether or not I should rinse it out, and I didn't. So he
That's
got on
so
me for that. And then you folks on my outfit,
Yeah,
all
'cause
class
you're-
long.
yeah, 'cause you
Then
don't
sing
look in
Lucy.
the
Your
mirror.
outfit is
Sorry,
yours.
I
Your
don't
hair is
think
so
I have the
good.
gusto.
Just do
Because
it.
you
Just
don't
do
look in
it.
the
Mr.
mirror
Armstrong.
before you go to
It's
school.
not our fault you have a bad outfit.
That's just
You
your
do it
problem.
to yourself.
And we're
Look
gonna
at
Do
your
it.
outfit.
I am
You have to
wearing
look in the
Tennessee
mirror
colors
before
for
you
you,
go
sir.
No,
You
you're
have
not.
asked for a month.
Blue and pink are
So
not
then do it.
technical colors.
Orange
Blue, pink,
is.
Orange and white.
So do it on
My shirt has white in it.
No,
You
wait.
should have
No,
done.
So does my tie.
You should have done.
The time was
orange.
horrible.
Black.
The tie doesn't have
When they win
white.
this weekend, I expect an apology.
They won't win though.
Do the whoopsie-doo.
They're not gonna win.
Who do they play?
I already know they're not gonna win.
Who do they play?
I don't think they're playing this weekend.
Well, then they can't lose. So still an apology.
They can't
Okay.
win.
12n minus 5 equals 91. What's our first step? Again, start with the addition and subtraction. This time we're subtracting 5, right, in the original equation. So what is our first step going to be? Olivia? Adding 5, exactly, right? Because negative 5 plus 5 equals what? 0. They cancel out, right? Whatever that operation is in the original equation, you undo that. Negative 5 plus 5 equals 0. 12n is by itself. 91 plus 5 is 96. And what is our second step here, Aiden? Divide by 12. And n equals 8. 96 divided by 12. Was that one? No, next. Fourth one is a little different in that the variable term is written second, right? In the other three, the variable term always came first, but in the fourth one, it is second. That doesn't change the process, okay? You still start with that number without the variable, which is the negative 9 here. What is the opposite of a negative 9? Positive 9, right? So we're going to be adding 9 to both sides because that is what is going to cancel out that constant. Negative 9 plus 9 equals 0. You got to be careful because this subtraction sign, we've talked about this before, that subtraction sign belongs to the term. So when we bring that down, it is going to be a negative 10n. The sign follows it.
Wait.
Okay? We didn't cancel out that subtraction sign, right? We added 9 to cancel out negative 9, but this negative 10n, that subtraction sign belongs to it. And so when you bring it down, you do need to put negative 10n. It follows it. And then 41 plus 9 on the right side equals 50. Okay? And so, what are we dividing now to get n by itself?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Okay?
Good job, Matthew.
Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is 1, or 1n, and is by itself. And 50 divided by negative 10 is a negative 5. And here's why I recommend checking, okay? If you missed bringing this sign down, you would get positive 5 as an answer. When you went back to check that, and you put in a positive 5, negative 9 minus 10 times positive 5 would give you negative 59 as an answer. And you would know, wait, that doesn't equal 41, I made a mistake. And hopefully you go back and you realize, oh, I gotta bring the sign. So checking helps avoid those silly mistakes. Okay. Question on the first row. What's the only difference in the second row? Enzo. They're fractions, which means it's the operation of division instead of
Division.
division, yes. Okay. So n divided by 4 plus 13, what's our first step here?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. Always start with that number without the variable. Okay, called the constant. Always start with that addition or subtraction. Subtract 13 from both sides because 13 minus 13 is 0. Cancel out. And you're left with this fraction, n divided by 4 equals 2. Okay? N divided by 4 equals 2. Which, if you want to, we can do the same thing that we did in PO17. Write that out horizontally so we can kind of see that division better. Yeah.
Why would we divide this four like this?
Then add.
Why would we divide instead of add?
No, like I mean
Will be
for n.
subtracted and multiplied.
Opposite operation, right?
I guess I don't understand your question.
Yeah.
Like you know how we multiply for the rest, divide for the rest of them.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. Operation.
Are you good now?
Yeah.
Very happy to help. I'm glad that I taught you in that moment of struggle. So n divided by 4 equals 2. Opposite operations.
You have a stain on your shirt and your pants.
My shirt.
Yeah, it's
It's on your elbow.
What? Oh my
You have
gosh!
to get your
That's
those stains on your
Yeah.
pants.
What is that? I'm a slob.
We know.
Jeez Louise. And then on the left side, cancels out. And 2 times 4, n equals 8. Okay? You can plug this back in and check it also. If n equals 8, 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 plus 13 does indeed equal 15. Right? So checking it, it helps verify that you're right. It does work. Okay? Next one, what are we doing first?
Adding.
Someone from over here. Nora, adding what? Good job. Okay?
You're using the multiplication, like the x again.
This is the exception to my own rule, not a whoopsie do. The exception to my
No,
own
you
rule
promised yesterday.
is weird.
You promised
Yeah,
yesterday.
yesterday you
You never use that
You
thing
said-
ever
Except for
again.
this. I said except
No,
for this.
you never
Well, I
said
meant to say
that.
that. Except
Well,
for
you
this.
didn't.
No,
So
you never said that.
So, adding 20 to both sides, cancel this negative 20 out. Opposite operations. That leaves us with this fraction n divided by 5. And negative 40 plus 20, back to PO8. We're starting at negative 40. We're adding 20. Where do we stop?
You're smart.
What?
You promised. You're no fun.
I'm not. No,
You're no
this
fun.
concept, I'm.
You know that for a fact.
Oh yeah, he
Negative
knows.
40 plus
Can't
20.
trust you, Mr. Schultz.
Hey, thank you. Negative 40 plus 20 is a negative 20. If you're thinking negative 60, then just remember which direction addition means, right? Starting at negative 40, we're going to the right 20. That's closer to 0. We're going to end at negative 20, okay? Now, thinking about this, written out, n divided by 5 equals negative 20. We're going to multiply by 5. Cancel that out. Opposite operations always cancel out. And negative 20 times 5 is negative 100. Okay.
I don't either.
You know what?
I'm offended.
Okay.
Does that say?
Next one. What are we doing first? We have 2 questions and 3 minutes left. We can
If you
We
get
can
2
do
minutes
it.
Mario level, you can
I can
speed
speed
run.
run my level and speed run this.
Another whoopsie.
That's pretty funny.
Ziggy.
Beat on the hairline. Plus 4.
I came out of nowhere.
Add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4 equals 0. Opposite operations cancel out. We're left with n divided by negative 6. Negative 15 plus 4. Think about which direction to go. Do you have the answer?
No, you said what direction you go. I said that one.
Negative
Negative 11.
Negative 11.
What?
That's not
Okay.
fun.
Negative 15 plus 4, we're going to the right. Negative 11. If you think negative 19, you went left. Okay, you want to go to the right here because we're adding. And so thinking about this as n divided by negative 6 equals negative 11, we're going to multiply by negative 6. Since we're dividing by negative 6, you multiply by negative 6. And negative 11 times negative 6 is positive 66. Okay? Just check those signs, right? A negative times a negative is a positive. The last one, very similar to the one above it, our fraction comes second. That doesn't change anything, right? We still start with that constant. What are we doing first? Aiden, subtracting 3.
I kid.
Okay? That leaves us with n divided by 9. And 0 minus 3, negative 3. Since we're dividing by 9 in the original equation, we're going to multiply by 9 to undo that, and n equals negative 27. Okay? Negative 27. Your homework for Monday,
Okay.
since tomorrow we have the spelling bee, will not have class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
Homework for Monday
Super.
You have to be super enthusiastic.
is
Your face has to turn.
the second page. Don't worry about the 3 brain busters. You only need to do the top 3 rows. So 12 questions in all for Monday.
You have to do it very enthusiastic. Come on.
Thanks, folks. That's how you math.
Don't like, subscribe.